Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People's Show, checking the pulse of Husker Nation, brought to you by DPS Construction. Check them out at dpsconstruction.net. Couple of things real quick. Nebraska falls to Michigan State in East Lansing today, 20-17. So Nebraska is technically still not bowl eligible. Yes, there were some questionable bowl calls throughout the game. It's part of the game. It sucks. I'm not going to say anything more about that. Feel free to comment below if you'd like to on that particular subject. Yes, Heinrich Haarberg had a bit of a rough day today. He was not the only one, but I will dive into that just a little bit later. For me personally, all right, this was disappointing because, yes, we are young. We are inexperienced. We are in year one of Matt RHULE. We have 40,894,000 injuries up front, and I'm rounding down on the offensive side of the ball, I mean. I get all of that. Michigan State's not a good football team. They haven't beaten anyone who's halfway decent to slightly below average yet this year. The two teams they beat were their first two games of the year, and those teams, I could say their names, you probably wouldn't even know who they are. They've lost 6 in a row. They're not a good team. Their program's in disarray. Okay? They have no reason to be motivated to come out and beat Nebraska today. We have every reason to be motivated to come out and, I don't know, become bowl eligible for the first time in half a decade or so. Hey, we were in control of our destiny in the Big Ten West because I do believe Ohio State's going to beat Minnesota, but that's out the window. I felt like Michigan State had more passion. They had more energy. That's why it's so disappointing for me. I can handle losing. I can handle losing ugly. I can handle losing to not great teams right now because we got a long way to go. But everything I just laid out, that's why this is so frustrating and disappointing and gobsmacking in my head for me that I can't figure out. All right. As disappointing as today was, if you're like me and you believe Nebraska will still make a bowl game, we got 3 games left this year, just got to win one. Okay, smash the like button. Also, I want to give a shout out to my daughter, Addison. Okay, she comes on the show all the time. I have people who work for me, and we had some things go on today, so she's filling in behind the camera right now, helping me record. So shout out to Addie. All right, coming into this game, as you know, I go pre-game, I go throughout the game, and then I give my final post-game reactions at the end of this video. That's how my gut reactions work. Coming in to this game, Michigan State had not scored a touchdown in their last 8 quarters. 4 field goals versus Minnesota, and then they got shut out versus Michigan State. All right, Heinrich Haarberg coming into this game was completing 52% of his passes, averaging 120 pass yards a game, he had 7 total passing touchdowns on the year. So easy for me to say. All right, 4 interceptions coming into today, 446 rush yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. Now, our 4 captains for today's game, I thought this was interesting, was Heinrich Haarberg, Marquise Buford, Isaac Gifford, and Bryce Benhart. That guy's come a long way, all right, on an individual level. And it was interesting on TV, there are 3 key players to watch on Nebraska's offense. Okay, one of them was Anthony Grant, who wasn't one of the 2 running backs on the field to start the game. I wonder if there's more to that than the fumbling thing. I don't know. But now, is Joshua Fleeks ahead of him too? He got the first carry of the game. I don't know, because we know Emmett Johnson is. Okay, but Bryce Benhart was actually one of those 3 guys that they put on TV as 3 guys to watch on Nebraska's offense. It just never happens for O-linemen, let alone someone who has obviously improved a lot, but struggled a lot early on in his career. I just thought that was fascinating. All right, Joshua Fleeks started at running back along with Emmett Johnson. Okay, it was a 2-back set to start the game, and as I mentioned, Fleeks got the first carry of the game. And I just wrote Anthony Grant ? I'm just curious. Is there more to this than just the fumbling thing? I don't know. All right, rather ugly first quarter was my notes. Michigan State led 3-0 at the end of it. All right, there was a couple of things that I noticed in the stands. All right, and you may have noticed them as well. There was a guy dressed as a Michigan scout, you know, the whole sign stealing thing in the stands. But I should mention today's coin toss. Okay, this came on the Jumbotron. It said today's coin toss will feature the commemorative Sam Foltz and Mike Sadler coin flip in honor and remembrance of the former Nebraska and Michigan State punters who unfortunately passed away a few years ago. Okay, also there was a Michigan State fan that had a Sam Foltz and Mike Sadler jersey draped over the railing in the stands in honor of Mike and Sam as well. I just thought that was pretty cool, and I thought I would mention that. Regardless of the outcome of this game, some things I still think are pretty cool. All right, 12:45 left in the second quarter. An option run by Heinrich Haarberg puts Nebraska up 7-3 over Michigan State. Good old Spate. All right, Now there was a jet sweep motion, which created an extra blocker and a backside puller. So there was two extra blockers Okay, play side on that play, which helped contribute to the touchdown. Now, here's what I noticed. I went back and I watched the play before, and I was like, that looked awfully similar to the play they just ran. Okay, I noticed they ran the same exact play, puller, motion, everything the play before. But they gave it to the running back the first time, and on the second time they ran it, Harburg keeps it on the option, on the decision, runs it in for a touchdown. 9:15 left in the second quarter. Michigan State, short, skinny post route for a touchdown. All right, Michigan State goes up 10-7. Now, Spartans earlier in the drive converted on a 50-yard, give or take 50-yard, approximately double pass. Got it to about the Huskers' 12-yard line, which set up the Sparties' touchdown. Now, this was a 6-play, 75-yard drive. Took 3:26 off the clock. Michigan State really didn't control the ball consistently throughout this game. They kind of relied on big plays, more so than anything else on offense. Now, this was a bit of a dagger. It was former Husker and high school quarterback Alante Brown, who was the player for Michigan State who converted the throw on the double pass. He caught the pass, he threw it downfield. He's the one that helped Michigan State get that big game. Now, Nebraska's first touchdown drive, just going back to when Nebraska scored, okay, I uncovered this after Michigan State scored again. It was a 10-play, 59-yard drive spanning 4 minutes and 31 seconds. Now, Nebraska's first 3 drives resulted in a punt, interception, touchdown, okay, to that point in the game. All right, now, the interception could have been, it was a deep pass that went awry, okay? It was an interception. It could have honestly gone for a touchdown had it been a little bit more accurate. All right, because the receiver was open. All right. Now, Tristan Alvano hits a field goal, ties the score 10-10 at halftime. Michigan State. Here's what I wrote. I even put it out on social media, Facebook and Twitter. All right, go give me a follow if you'd like. Hashtag cheap plug. I said, Michigan State playing better than I thought. All right. They have great energy. They're really killing themselves with penalties. Okay. Our offense not playing well, missed opportunities, struggling to block. And I was not personally a fan of some of the play calling at times. But then other times we had guys wide open and we just weren't hitting them. We don't run a fancy offense. It's really one of the most basic, simple offenses you can run in college football. And I get it. When you've got the injuries, the inexperience, and you're just trying to get something going, and you're really relying on your defense to kind of carry the team, okay, and your offense is kind of doing its thing in addition to the defense, I get it. I got no problem with that theory. But here's my point. We don't run a fancy scheme on offense. Even the backups have to be able to execute the little things, at least a little, to a smidge, to a whole lot better than they did today. And we never really did match Michigan State's energy throughout the game either. All right. We've also ran a decent amount of plays out of the empty. This was just something I noticed. We also ran a decent amount of plays out of the empty formation so far. And I know people, because we went shotgun and the fourth down and things of that nature, and I know people are I'm sure they're going to have a lot of thoughts on that as well. Now, if you start to look at the halftime stats, all right, we had 12 first downs, they had 5. We were 4 and 9 on third down. They were 1 of 5 on third down. Okay, you look at total yards, they had more total yards than we did. All right, they had 141 pass yards, we had 61. Rushing, we had 90 rush yards, they had 41. We also had 23 rushing attempts at halftime. They only had 13. Penalties, we had 0. They had 6 for 60 yards. They were kind of shooting themselves in the foot a little bit. And we had the time of possession advantage, 18:05 to 11:55. Again, Michigan State was kind of relying on the big plays, so to speak. Real quick, as you know, this show is brought to you by DPS Concrete Construction. They are your local concrete experts. Check them out at dpsconstruction.net. All right, at halftime, Heinrich Harburg was 7 of 16 for 61 yards passing, averaging 4.1 yards per completion. And he had an interception at that point in time. Now, our top 3 rushers, Emmett Johnson, Heinrich Harburg, Joshua Fleeks, and Anthony Grant was 4th. All right, Emmett Johnson led us in rushing at halftime, and Heinrich Harburg was number 2. All right, Thomas Fedoni led our pass catchers at that point in time, 3 receptions, 43 yards, 14.3 yards per reception with a long reception of 27 yards, and Jamari Butler led our defense at halftime with 5 tackles. Now, it's year 1. There's a lot that goes into this. This is a process, okay? And even before Matt RHULE had said this, I thought this to myself, because this is not where Temple was. This is not where Baylor was when he took over. But Matt RHULE had talked about how he thinks they can accomplish in year 1 at Nebraska what he did in year 2 at Temple and Baylor because of the already existing infrastructure, support, and talent on the roster. And he can still accomplish that yet this year. I just don't know that I'd pointed that out on the Carriker Chronicles yet to this point of the season, so I thought that I would because I agree with him despite what happened today. All right, 5:11 left in the third quarter. Michigan State, 51-yard field goal to go up 13-10. They make the field goal. All right, the Spartans kicker is pretty good, man. He's 3 of 5 on 50-plus yard field goals this year, including a 58-yard field goal that he had already made as well in the season. Now, Michigan State's defense going into the fourth quarter, man, it's one of those games where they had a lot of fun, unfortunately, at our expense. All right, going in, and they had way more than this by the end of the fourth quarter. I got to go check out the stats. But going into the fourth quarter, they had 3 sacks, 8 TFLs, and 1 takeaway. All right, of the 11 forced negative plays, it totaled 39 yards lost for the Huskers. Again, that's just entering the fourth quarter. I swear to God, they had like 5 more sacks in the fourth quarter, and who knows what else, okay? Because they really took over the fourth quarter. All right, they'd been in the back. They were in the backfield a lot today, our backfield. Now, the good news, I wrote this going into the fourth quarter. The good news, going into the fourth quarter, the Spartans have been outscored this year 46-7 in fourth quarters so far this year. All right, our first possession of the fourth quarter wasn't very pretty. It ended in another sack. All right, and I even tweeted again, our defense or special teams may have to score for us to win this game. All right, Brian Busini, and again, we were on our own end of the field pretty deep. He didn't have the best punt. It helped give Michigan State a short field. They capitalized. Another touchdown pass. Spartans go up 20-10. Now, I wrote here, our offensive line has really struggled to pick up Michigan State's stunts up front defensively. That's a vast understatement. Our wide receivers didn't play well. They missed a lot of catchable balls. That's being kind. All right, the announcers on TV, every time we go back to punt, they point out we rarely return punts. And they're correct when they made this statement. They basically said Billy Kemp is our designated fair catch guy. I know we tried something else later on, but all right, I kept waiting for our coaches, because we do have good coaches. I have a lot of faith in Matt RHULE, a lot of faith in Tony White. Marcus Satterfield still has to prove himself to me. He just does. Okay, I kept waiting for our coaches to make the adjustments that would give us the edge in this game, and it just never happened. At least not with the results on the field. 6:30 left in the fourth quarter. Heinrich Haarberg throws his second interception of the game. Now, this was Michigan State's interim head coach's, his first win since he became their interim head coach. Michigan State's program's really been tumultuous all year long. This snaps their 6-game losing streak. My papers are flying. I might as well contribute to that. Heinrich Haarberg kept fighting. Okay, he did keep fighting. You got to give him that. He had a long run where Michigan State's defenders, it looked like it was two-hand touch, and I didn't understand what they were doing, but I'll take it. It set up an 8-yard touchdown run for Emmett Johnson, cut the lead to 20-17, cut it to a one-possession game. Now, unfortunately, in one-possession games, the Huskers have the worst winning possession in the entire Big Ten Conference in the last 5 years when it comes to one-possession games at a winning percentage of .235. Michigan State, however, is the best in the Big Ten Conference, winning percentage-wise in one-possession games at .714. Now, Nebraska got the ball back with 2:30 left in the fourth quarter. Okay, at our 22-yard line with a chance to do something, and Haarberg was sacked again on third down. He fumbled. Michigan State recovered to essentially seal the win. And we, by the way, are 111th in the country in turnover margin, in case you were wondering. All right, now the Huskers did get one more chance with the ball. Didn't really go anywhere. Michigan State wins 20-17. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Losing isn't what frustrates me. We're going to have some ugly games, and eventually one's not going to go our way. Losing to teams that aren't great doesn't thrill me. I don't think I could find another Power 5 program in the country that's had more rocky waters than Michigan State this year. We had every reason to be motivated. They had every reason to phone it in. And I'm not saying the Huskers just came out with no effort whatsoever. You could argue they kept fighting and got the game back to within 20-17. I don't know. All right, questions. Let me know your thoughts. The offense severely struggled. Do you blame the play calling or the execution more? All right, number 2, were you surprised, shocked, or not surprised at all the Huskers lost? Number 3, the Black Shirts have only allowed 20 points, or they hadn't allowed 20. The Black Shirts allowed 20 points. They hadn't allowed double digits defensively in a game in over a month. How do you think the Black Shirts played today? Check out CarrikerChronicles.com. This one was easy for me to record. Go Big Red, and always remember to throw the bones.